Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when we encounter something that feels like a memory we never lived, the familiarity that cannot be explained. In the presence of another, something within us stirs, a sense not of meeting, but of remembering. This is where real love begins, not in the surface rituals or fleeting infatuations, but in the deep recognition of one soul by another. Real love is not born merely from attraction or shared interests. It is not confined to the physical, nor is it dictated by circumstance. It arises from a deeper strata of the human experience, where the psyche whispers truths the conscious mind cannot yet articulate. When love is real, it is as if the soul says, I know you. I've always known you. This bond, once formed, does not obey the rules of time. Lovers may part, distance may stretch across continents, years may pass in silence, but the connection remains untouched, like a flame sheltered from the wind. It lives in dreams, in sudden thoughts, in the quiet pull towards someone, even in their absence. That is the nature of the soul. It does not forget what it once embraced. True love is not static, it is transformative. It calls us to become more than we were. Through love we are broken and remade. We are called to confront our shadows, to heal wounds we thought eternal, to become whole. It is not a love that seeks to possess, it is a love that seeks to free. It asks, can you see me fully and still stay? Can you walk with me through fire, not to save me, but to witness my becoming? When love is real, it changes the architecture of the self, and even if two paths must diverge, that change endures. The bond does not fade, it becomes part of who we are, woven into the story of the soul. So let us not measure love by how long it lasts in the physical world, but by how deeply it roots itself in the unseen. The true union of souls does not depend on presence, it depends on recognition. And once that recognition occurs, nothing, not time, not distance, not even silence, can erase it. There is something profoundly mysterious about the moment when two souls recognize one another. It is not the same as meeting someone new or discovering common ground with a stranger. It is deeper than compatibility or chemistry. It is an inner echo, a silent remembrance, a feeling that you are not learning someone but remembering them, that your soul has turned a corner and found something that it never truly lost. When love is real, this is often how it begins, not with fanfare or fireworks, but with an uncanny familiarity, as though something ancient and invisible stirs awake between two people. This recognition is not a trick of the mind or an illusion of fantasy. It is a psychic event occurring beyond the rational faculties. It arises from the unconscious, the great sea beneath the surface of everyday awareness, where symbols live, where our dreams whisper to us, where truths too large for words reside. And it is here, in this inner world, that real love takes root. Not in the ego, which seeks security, control and comfort, but in the soul, which seeks connection, meaning and growth. The soul does not recognize others based on appearances, status or circumstances. It recognizes resonance. It listens for a familiar tone in another person's essence, a rhythm, a pattern, a quiet signature that says, you are part of my story. Often there is no logical explanation for this feeling. Two people from vastly different worlds, with no shared history, may find in each other a kind of spiritual mirror, not a perfect one, not a reflection of idealized beauty or perfection, but a mirror that shows them who they truly are and who they are capable of becoming. And because the soul recognizes through depth, not surface, this kind of love often arrives in moments of stillness or in times of personal transformation. It may come when we are broken open, when the protective walls of the ego are weakened, when the persona we wear every day begins to crack. In those moments of raw vulnerability, the soul is most visible and most capable of seeing another soul in return. Real love doesn't always come during ease. It often enters during upheaval, because the soul, unlike the ego, is not afraid of the truth. It is drawn to it. This recognition can be both beautiful and unsettling. It challenges us. To see another soul is also to be seen, and to be seen truly and deeply is one of the most terrifying and liberating experiences a person can have. It leaves no room for masks, for pretenses, for roles. It demands authenticity. Real love begins at a level where we are most ourselves, flawed, unfinished, but utterly real. And it invites us to step into that reality with another. Such recognition is rare. It cannot be forced or fabricated. It cannot be chased like a goal, nor controlled like a possession. It simply happens when the time is right, when the psyche is ready, when the veil thins. And when it does, it leaves an indelible mark, even if the love that follows does not take a conventional path. Even if it is brief or distant or complex, the initial recognition remains. It becomes part of the inner life, a landmark on the map of the soul. It is remembered, not as an event, but as a shift, a turning point. Something opened and it never fully closed again. In a world where much is fleeting and transactional, the soul's recognition is sacred. It reminds us that beneath the noise and speed of modern life, something eternal moves, that love, when real, is not about needing someone, but about knowing them. And knowing them not through logic or language, but through that wordless understanding that only the soul can speak. When love is real, it does not answer to the ticking of the clock or the changing of seasons. It is not held hostage by the hours that pass or the distances that stretch between people. Instead, it seems to exist in a separate realm altogether, outside of time, outside of space, unfolding in a rhythm all its own. We often speak of falling in love, but real love is not something that falls. It is something that and once revealed, it does not disappear. The bond it forges is not limited to the moments spent together, nor is it broken by silence or separation. It continues quietly, even when the world has moved on. They are people who leave our lives, but not our hearts. They are connections that seem to fade from the surface, yet remain alive in the unseen layers of being. When the connection is true, when it has emerged from the soul rather than the ego, it does not unravel with time. It becomes part of the architecture of the inner world. The person may be far away, and yet their presence is felt in dreams, in music, in sudden thoughts that arise without cause. This is not obsession. This is memory at the level of the soul, where time does not operate linearly. In that space, the past is not gone and the future is already whispering. This sense of timelessness is often misunderstood. In a world obsessed with productivity and progress, we are taught to believe that something must be constant in order to be real, that love must be expressed daily, that presence must be physical, that relationships must follow a visible arc. But the soul does not measure reality in hours or in proximity, it measures in depth. A single moment of soul recognition can outweigh a decade of superficial closeness. A single touch, a glance, a shared silence can echo for years. Time is not the medium of real love. Presence is. And presence is not always physical. It is psychic, emotional, energetic. Even when paths diverge, even when two people are no longer in each other's lives, the bond persists. It changes shape. It may become quieter, subtler, but it does not dissolve. It becomes a thread woven into the inner life, a point of reference for something sacred. There may be no more messages, no more meetings, and yet something continues to move between them. Some call it energy, some call it memory, some call it spirit. Whatever name we give it, it defies the logic of endings. Because real love does not end, it simply transforms. This is why we sometimes feel grief without clear reason or joy when thinking of someone long gone. This is why we dream of people we haven't seen in years, and why a single word can bring tears to the surface. The bond is not gone. It's just no longer visible to the eye. It lives in the realm of the soul, and in that realm nothing is truly lost. There are loves that belong to this deeper dimension, and they remain untouched by time's decay. Even if life unfolds in ways that prevent reunion, the truth of the connection remains whole. To understand this is to be freed from the desperation of clinging. Real love teaches us that connection is not proven through constant contact. It is proven through resonance that endures. It is not how often we are with someone that matters most, but how deeply they live within us. We can be beside someone every day and feel miles apart. And we can be apart from someone for years and still feel their breath in our lungs. So when love is real, let us not ask if it will last. In the ways we are taught to measure, let us ask instead, did it change me? Did it awaken something in me that cannot go back to sleep? If the answer is yes, then the bond endures. Unseen perhaps, but unbroken, because the soul does not forget what it truly loved. Real love is not a sanctuary from growth, it is a crucible for it. It does not simply offer comfort or companionship, but instead opens a doorway to transformation. When love is real, it does not leave us as it found us. It arrives with a quiet power, asking us to surrender the parts of ourselves that are false, to face what we have hidden, and to step into the vast, unfinished truth of who we are meant to become. This is not the love we are often taught to desire, the kind that smooths over flaws or keeps us comfortable within the walls we've built. Real love breaks walls. It disturbs illusions. It demands that we rise. To love someone truly is to see them clearly, not as an ideal, not as a projection of desire or fear, but as they are, in their complexity, the shadow, the light. And when we are seen in this way, something ancient within us responds. It is both terrifying and holy to be witnessed at that level. All the masks begin to fall. All the stories we told about who we are or must be begin to unravel. And in that unraveling, there is the chance to be reborn, not into someone else, but into someone more fully ourselves. In this way, love becomes alchemical. It transforms the raw materials of our being into something luminous. But this transformation is not always soft. It is not painless. Love, when it is real, often arrives with fire. It burns away the ego's need to control, to possess, to define. It exposes our wounds, not to harm us, but to bring them into the light where healing becomes possible. Love holds up a mirror to our deepest fears, the fear of abandonment, of not being enough, of being truly known. It is through love that these fears rise, and it is through love that they can be faced, not in isolation but in relation, with someone walking beside us, willing to hold space for our becoming. This kind of love does not promise ease, but it offers something greater, transcendence. Two people joined by such a bond do not simply orbit each other. They evolve together. They become catalysts for one another's growth. Sometimes this means walking together, sometimes it means walking apart. But even in separation, the transformation continues because the soul carries what it has received. The lessons, the mirrors, the deep stirrings of truth, all of it becomes integrated into the psyche. We do not return to who we were before such love. We cannot. There is a sacred responsibility that comes with this kind of connection. It is not about ownership. Real love asks, How can I support your becoming even if it does not benefit me? Can I allow you the freedom to unfold even if it takes you somewhere I cannot follow? This is love beyond possession. It is love rooted in respect for the other's journey and for one's own. And in this respect lies the deepest form of intimacy. Not one that clings, but one that not one that cages, but one that trusts. When we look back on the loves that changed us, we may find that they were not always easy or simple, but they were true. They stripped away what was false. They brought us closer to the center of our own being, and that perhaps is the quiet miracle of real love. It brings us home, not only to another, but to ourselves. In the end, real love is not about finding someone to complete us. It is about finding someone who awakens the completeness already hidden within us. Someone who walks with us, not to save us, but to remind us of our own depth, our own light, and our own capacity to transform. Such love is rare, and once it has touched us, we are never quite the same.